Almost half of all dementia cases may be preventable, not a tiny amount, not a small corner of the problem. Almost half. And what makes this even more important is that many people who are already beginning to lose brain strength do not feel sick. They do not wake up one morning and say, "My brain is starting to decline." They still make breakfast. They still drive to the store. They still talk with family. But quietly, in the background, small changes may already be happening inside the brain. I am Dr. George White, and today I want to walk you through something every adult over 50 should understand. Dementia does not usually begin on the day someone forgets their child's name or gets lost on a familiar road. For many people, the process begins years earlier, through small, repeated injuries to the brain. Poor sleep, untreated hearing loss, weak muscles, high cholesterol, isolation, depression, blood sugar problems, alcohol, smoking. These things may look separate, but inside the body, they often pull the brain in the same dangerous direction. A major report from the Lancet Commission found that several modifiable risk factors are linked to a large share of dementia cases around the world. That word modifiable is important. It means these are not all fixed by age or family history. Some of them are areas where you still have power. You may not be able to change your genes. You may not be able to go back and change your childhood, but you can change what happens next. And sometimes, changing what happens next is enough to protect your memory, your speech, your balance, your independence, and the life you still want to live. The first risk factor surprises many people because it does not feel like a brain problem at all. Hearing loss. Most people think hearing loss is just an inconvenience. They turn the television up a little louder. They ask people to repeat themselves. They stop enjoying restaurants because the background noise makes conversations difficult. And slowly, without meaning to, they begin to pull away from the world. But your ears are not working alone. Your ears feed your brain. Every voice, every sound, every piece of conversation gives the brain signals to process. When those signals become weak, the brain receives less stimulation. The brain is like a living network. It strengthens what you use and weakens what you ignore. When hearing becomes poor and stays untreated, certain brain pathways receive fewer signals day after day. Over time, the brain has to work harder just to understand simple speech. A normal conversation becomes mental labor. That extra effort can drain attention and memory. At the same time, people with hearing loss often avoid social events because they feel embarrassed or tired. They may smile and nod instead of joining the conversation. They may stop calling friends. They may sit quietly at family gatherings. And that isolation is another risk factor for dementia. This is why a hearing aid should never be seen as a sign of weakness. It is not an admission of old age. It is a tool that helps keep the brain connected to the world. If you or someone you love keeps asking, "What did you say?" or avoids noisy places, or seems less involved in conversation than before, do not brush it off. A hearing check can be a brain-protecting step. Many families wait years before taking hearing loss seriously, and by then the person has already withdrawn from so much of life. Vision works in a similar way. Your eyes send a huge amount of information to your brain every moment you are awake. Faces, colors, movement, reading, depth, distance, light, and shadows all keep the brain active. When vision becomes cloudy or weak, the brain loses another major source of input. Cataracts are a good example. They often develop slowly, so slowly that a person starts thinking poor vision is normal. The room looks dimmer, night driving becomes harder, reading becomes tiring, faces become less clear. But because it happens little by little, many people adapt instead of getting help. The problem is that the brain depends on clear sensory input. When the eyes stop sending strong information, the brain does not get the same workout. That is why regular eye checks matter after 50 and especially after 60. Cataracts, glaucoma, diabetic eye disease, and other vision problems are not just eye problems. They can affect safety, balance, confidence, social life, and brain activity. If your world is getting blurry, smaller, or darker, do not simply accept it as aging. Treatable vision problems should be treated. Your brain needs your eyes more than most people realize. Now let us talk about sleep, because this is one of the most dangerous myths in aging. Many people say, "I am older now, so poor sleep is normal." They wake up several times a night. They lie awake at 3 in the morning. They fall asleep in the chair during the day. They scroll on their phone in bed and wonder why their mind will not slow down. But poor sleep is not something you should simply surrender to. Sleep is not empty time. Sleep is when the brain does some of its most important repair work. During deep sleep, the brain clears away waste products that build up during the day. You can think of it like the brain's night cleaning system. While you are awake, brain cells are active, using energy, sending messages, and producing waste. During good sleep, that waste is washed out more effectively. Some of the proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease, including amyloid and tau, are part of this discussion. When sleep is short, broken, or poor for years, the brain may not get enough time to complete its cleanup. You already know what one bad night does. Your head feels heavy. Your words come slower. You lose patience. You forget simple things. You feel foggy. That is not just tiredness. That is your brain showing you what happens when it does not recover properly. Now imagine that happening not once, but night after night, year after year. Many people reach their 60s or 70s after decades of poor sleep, and nobody ever connects their memory problems back to the nights they spent lying awake. One of the biggest sleep destroyers is the phone. Blue light from screens tells the brain that it is still daytime. The brain responds by reducing melatonin, the hormone that helps prepare you for sleep. But light is only part of the problem. The content itself can be even worse. News, arguments, upsetting videos, financial worries, family messages, and endless scrolling can push the brain into alert mode. Instead of winding down, your mind starts scanning for danger. Your body releases stress signals. Your thoughts begin looping. You close your eyes, but your brain is still arguing, planning, fearing, and replaying. A simple rule can help. Keep the phone away from the bed before sleep. Give your brain a quiet landing. Dim the lights. Keep the room cool. Try slow breathing with a longer exhale. Relax your jaw, your shoulders, your hands, your stomach, and your legs. The body often has to calm down before the mind can follow. If insomnia has been going on for months or years, speak with a healthcare professional. Chronic poor sleep is not a personality trait. It is a health problem, and treating it may protect far more than your energy. Now we need to talk about muscles. Most people think muscles are only about strength, appearance, or walking without a cane. But muscles also protect the brain. Starting in adulthood, and especially after middle age, the body slowly loses muscle if we do not use it. After 50, this process can speed up. By older age, some people lose a large amount of the muscle they once had. They may notice smaller arms, weaker legs, slower walking, more trouble getting out of a chair, or fear of falling. But muscle is not just meat on the bones. Muscle is active tissue. It helps control blood sugar. It supports circulation. It releases helpful chemical signals that affect inflammation and brain health. When muscles shrink and the body becomes sedentary, blood flow can worsen, insulin resistance can increase, inflammation can rise, and the brain may receive fewer protective signals. This is one reason movement is so powerful. Walking, light resistance exercise, standing from a chair, climbing stairs, stretching, and balance work all tell the body, keep this system alive. You do not need to become an athlete. You do not need an expensive gym. You do not need to punish yourself. What matters most is regular movement. 10 minutes every morning is better than doing nothing while waiting for the perfect plan. A brisk walk a few times a week is better than sitting all day. Light strength exercises at home can help preserve the legs, hips, back, and core. The brain sits inside the skull, but it depends on the body. A body that never moves sends the brain a message of decline. Balance is another early warning sign that many people ignore. A person begins to feel slightly unsteady. They hold furniture when walking across the room. They avoid uneven ground. They stop going outside when it rains. They blame blood pressure, weak knees, or age. Sometimes those things are involved, but balance is also connected to the brain. The cerebellum, the inner ear, the eyes, the nerves in the feet, and the front parts of the brain all work together to keep you upright. If balance starts to decline, it deserves attention. Try standing near a wall or chair and lifting one foot for a short time. Then switch sides. Do not do this in a risky place. Safety comes first. If you cannot balance even briefly, or if one side feels much worse than the other, that is information. Balance can often improve with training, but ignoring it can lead to falls, fear, less movement, more weakness, and more isolation. One small balance problem can start a chain that affects the whole life. Now let us move inside the body, where some of the most silent damage happens. Visceral fat is the deep fat around the organs. It is not the soft fat you can pinch under the skin. It sits around the liver, intestines, and pancreas. A person may simply look like they have a round belly, but inside, that fat can be chemically active. It can release inflammatory signals day after day. There may be no fever, no pain, no warning alarm, but over time, this low-grade inflammation can damage blood vessels and affect brain cells. Visceral fat is also closely linked to insulin resistance. Insulin is not only about diabetes, it also matters for the brain. The brain needs stable energy, healthy blood vessels, and strong communication between cells. When blood sugar and insulin problems build over years, the brain may suffer quietly. This is why waist size, blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol are not just heart numbers. They are brain numbers too. High LDL cholesterol, often called bad cholesterol, can affect blood vessels. Damaged blood vessels mean poorer delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the brain. And the brain cannot stay sharp if its supply lines are damaged. This is not about looking thin in the mirror. This is about what your brain may look like years from now. A large waist, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol can all point toward a body under metabolic stress. Speak with your doctor. Get your numbers checked. Do not guess. Many people feel fine while their blood vessels are slowly being injured. Prevention often begins with measuring the things you cannot feel. Now we come to the warning signs families often miss. Speech changes can be one of the early clues that something is changing in the brain. A person who used to speak smoothly may start pausing more often. They may search for common words. They may trail off in the middle of a sentence. Their language may become simpler. They may use vague words like that thing or you know more often. The person may not notice it. The family may adapt without realizing a pattern is forming. Of course, everyone forgets a word sometimes. That is normal. But a steady change over months deserves attention. If someone is speaking differently than they did last year, taking much longer to find words, or avoiding conversation because speaking feels harder, it is worth discussing with a healthcare professional. Speech is not just sound. It is one of the brain's most complex tasks. It uses memory, attention, language, hearing, planning, and confidence all at once. Memory lapses also need careful understanding. Walking into a room and forgetting why you came there happens to almost everyone. Misplacing keys once in a while is common, but repeatedly forgetting recent conversations, asking the same question again and again, losing track of events from earlier in the day, or forgetting familiar names can be different. Mild cognitive impairment is not dementia, but it can be a warning stage. It is also a stage where action may matter most. Another overlooked area is navigation. The brain area called the hippocampus helps with memory and finding your way around. It is also one of the areas deeply involved in Alzheimer's disease. Today, many people use GPS for every trip, even routes they already know. The phone tells them when to turn, where to go, and how to arrive. Convenient, yes. But the brain likes to be used. If you never ask your memory to guide you, that skill can weaken. Try sometimes navigating a familiar route without GPS as long as it is safe. Picture the roads before you leave. Remember landmarks. Let your brain work. Mental activity matters, but not all mental activity is equal. Passive scrolling is not the same as learning. Watching short clips for hours is not the same as reading, solving, discussing, creating, or practicing a skill. The brain needs challenge. It needs attention. It needs effort. Learning a language, playing an instrument, reading a serious book, writing by hand, drawing, doing puzzles, taking a class, or even having deep conversations can all give the brain useful work. Education is protective, but this does not mean only people with degrees can protect their brain. Lifelong learning is the point. A person who left school early but keeps reading, questioning, practicing, building, and learning may be giving the brain regular exercise. The brain can form new connections throughout life. This is called neuroplasticity, but it needs a reason. New experiences, new skills, and meaningful attention give the brain that reason. Social connection is another powerful protector. Loneliness is not just sadness. It can become a health risk. When people become isolated, their brain receives fewer emotional, verbal, and social signals. They laugh less. They debate less. They tell fewer stories. They solve fewer social problems. They feel less needed. Over time, isolation can feed depression, poor sleep, inactivity, and cognitive decline. Real connection keeps the brain alive in a way that television alone cannot. You do not need a large crowd. You need meaningful contact. A weekly phone call, a walk with a neighbor, a meal with family, a faith group, a club, a class, a friend you can speak honestly with. The quality of connection matters more than the number of names in your phone. The brain was built for human contact. When that contact disappears, something important is lost. Emotional health matters too, and this is where many older adults suffer silently. Depression is not weakness. It is not laziness. It is not simply being negative. Depression can change sleep, appetite, energy, memory, attention, and motivation. It can increase inflammation and reduce a person's ability to care for their body. Depression and cognitive decline can feed each other. A person feels low, so they stop moving. They stop calling people. They sleep badly. They eat poorly. Their brain gets less stimulation. Then their memory worsens, which makes them more afraid and withdrawn. If you have lost interest in things you once enjoyed, feel tired all the time, feel hopeless, sleep poorly, or feel emotionally numb, please take it seriously. Talk to a doctor, counselor, or trusted health professional. Treating depression is not only about mood. It may also be part of protecting the brain. Smoking is another factor that damages the brain through the blood vessels. Every cigarette harms circulation. It reduces oxygen delivery. It increases inflammation and damages the lining of blood vessels. People often connect smoking to lungs, but the brain also depends on clean, healthy blood flow. If the vessels feeding the brain are damaged, memory and thinking can suffer over time. Quitting is hard, but help exists, and the brain begins benefiting when the body is no longer being exposed to that constant injury. Alcohol deserves honest discussion too. Many people still believe a drink before bed helps them sleep, or that a little wine protects the heart. But alcohol can disturb sleep quality even when it makes you feel drowsy. It can reduce deep sleep, worsen breathing, raise fall risk, affect memory, and damage brain tissue over time. For someone already dealing with poor sleep, high blood pressure, medications, balance problems, depression, or memory concerns, alcohol can make the situation worse. This does not mean you should panic about the past. It means you should be honest about the future. If a nightly drink has become a habit, ask what it is really doing for you. Is it helping, or is it quietly taking something away? Better sleep, better balance, clearer thinking, and safer aging may require removing things that feel comforting in the short term but harmful over the long term. Now picture a man in his late 50s. Let us call him James. He is still working. He pays his bills. He drives. He seems fine to most people, but he has started searching for words during conversations. Once or twice, he became confused while driving a route he had known for years. He sleeps badly. He sits most of the day. He drinks wine every night. His hearing has been getting worse, but he refuses to get it checked because he says hearing aids are for old people. No single problem seems dramatic, but together, they are pushing his brain in the wrong direction. That is how dementia risk often builds. Not from one giant event, but from many small pressures repeated for years. Poor sleep, less movement, less hearing, less social life, more alcohol, more inflammation, higher cholesterol, more blood sugar stress, more isolation. The brain keeps compensating until one day the family says, something is different. The tragedy is that many of those pressures could have been addressed earlier. Age matters. After 40, brain and blood vessel changes can slowly accelerate. After 50, the importance of prevention becomes stronger. After 60, every year of good habits matters. But do not hear this as bad news. Hear it as a window of opportunity. The earlier you act, the more time you give your brain. But even later in life, action can still help. Movement helps. Better sleep helps. Hearing and vision care help. Social connection helps. Treating depression helps. Managing blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and weight helps. So what should you do starting now? First, check your hearing and vision. Do not wait until life becomes smaller. Second, protect your sleep. Keep the phone away from the bed, create a steady sleep routine, and get help for ongoing insomnia. Third, move your body every day, even if it is only a short walk or simple strength work at home. Fourth, protect your muscles, because strong legs and hips help protect independence. Fifth, check your waist, blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol. These numbers are not just about the heart. They are about the brain. Stay connected to real people. Keep learning. Read things that make you think. Write by hand. Use your memory. Practice balance safely. Take mood changes seriously. Stop smoking if you smoke. Reduce or remove alcohol, especially if you use it for sleep. And if you notice changes in speech, memory, direction, personality, balance, or daily function, do not hide it out of fear. Early conversation with a doctor is always better than waiting until the problem becomes impossible to ignore. Dementia is frightening because it threatens the things people value most: independence, memory, dignity, family, and the ability to enjoy the years they worked so hard to reach. But fear alone does not protect you. Action does. Small daily choices, repeated long enough, can change the direction of your health. You do not need to fix everything in one day. You need to choose the next right step and take it seriously. If you are over 50, ask yourself honestly, which of these areas needs attention first? Hearing, vision, sleep, movement, weight, cholesterol, blood sugar, mood, alcohol, smoking, social life, learning, balance, or memory. Do not choose the easiest one to ignore. Choose the one your body has been warning you about. That may be where your brain protection begins. If this helped you today, subscribe and share it with someone you care about. A spouse, a parent, a brother, a sister, or a friend may need to hear this before the signs become obvious. This video is for education only and does not replace personal medical advice. Your health history is your own, so speak with your healthcare provider about what is right for you. But please remember this: dementia does not always arrive suddenly. Sometimes it is built quietly, and if it can be built quietly, then protection can begin quietly too, one better choice at a time.